For 100 years, they were the most powerful family in the world. Not kings, not generals, but bankers. From their headquarters in Florence, the Medici dynasty controlled the finances of an entire continent. They funded popes, financed wars, and fueled the Renaissance, bankrolling the genius of artists like Michelangelo and Brunelleschi. The Medici Bank was more than an institution. It was the engine of an era. But this empire, built on gold and genius, was destined to collapse. This isn't a story about a bank failing. It's the story of a family who gained the world only to lose sight of the principles that made them great. It's the story of how the world's most powerful bankers forgot how to be bankers, and in doing so, engineered their own spectacular downfall. To understand their fall, you must first understand their rise. It began in the late 14th century with Giovanni di Bicci de' Medici. Giovanni was not a nobleman. He was a merchant, a man of numbers, and a genius of discretion. In a world of loud, arrogant lords, Giovanni built his empire on a revolutionary concept: trust. He perfected double-entry bookkeeping, allowing for unprecedented accuracy. He established a network of branch offices across Europe, from Venice to London, creating the first truly international bank. But his masterstroke was becoming the personal banker to the papacy. The Pope was the wealthiest entity in Christendom, and by managing the church's vast revenues, the Medici Bank gained access to immense capital and unparalleled prestige. Giovanni's rule was simple: avoid politics, manage risk, and never lend more than you can afford to lose. It was a formula for quiet, unstoppable success. When Giovanni died, his son, Cosimo de' Medici, inherited the empire. Under Cosimo, the bank reached its zenith. He used its immense wealth not just to make money, but to shape the world. He ruled Florence from behind the scenes, a king in all but name, financing the city's magnificent cathedral dome and establishing the Medici as the ultimate patrons of the arts. Yet, this was the first critical turning point. Where Giovanni saw banking as the end goal, Cosimo saw it as a tool for political power. He began using the bank's funds to secure alliances, to buy loyalty, and to cement his family's control over the Florentine Republic. The lines between business and politics began to blur. The foundation of prudent banking, laid so carefully by his father, was starting to erode. The true rot set in under Cosimo's grandson, Lorenzo. History remembers him as Lorenzo the Magnificent, a brilliant diplomat, a poet, and the greatest art patron of the Renaissance. But he was a terrible banker. Lorenzo didn't just blur the lines between banking and politics. He erased them completely. For him, the bank was a personal treasury to fund his political ambitions and lavish lifestyle. And this led to the single most catastrophic mistake in the bank's history: the loans to King Edward IV of England. In the mid-15th century, England was tearing itself apart in the War of the Roses. The manager of the Medici's London branch, Gherardo Bueri, saw an opportunity. He began extending massive loans to the Yorkist king, Edward IV, to finance his war effort. This wasn't a calculated risk. It was a reckless gamble that violated every one of Giovanni de' Medici's founding principles. Royal loans were notoriously dangerous. Kings had a habit of defaulting, or worse, simply refusing to pay. The loan to Edward IV was unsecured, politically motivated, and astronomically large, totaling over 120,000 florins, a sum that could have built a dozen palaces. Lorenzo, back in Florence, not only approved this, but encouraged it, believing it would secure him a powerful political ally. He was betting the bank on the success of one man in a bloody civil war. This single decision, this one colossal gamble, would become the fatal crack in the foundation of a century-old empire. We are about to witness the catastrophic domino effect it triggered. If you find these hidden stories from history fascinating, take a moment to subscribe. We uncover the critical mistakes of the past to better understand the present. The gamble failed. King Edward IV won his war, but he never repaid the full debt. The Medici's London branch, once a jewel in their network, was crippled. It bled money for years until it finally collapsed into bankruptcy. The failure in London wasn't an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a disease that had spread throughout the system. Lorenzo's man in Bruges made similarly disastrous loans to Charles the Bold, Duke of Burgundy, who died in battle, leaving his debts unpaid. The Lyon branch hemorrhaged money through mismanagement. Branch managers appointed for political loyalty rather than financial skill ran their offices into the ground. Lorenzo, distracted by politics and art, did the unthinkable. He began to illegally raid Florence's public treasury to cover the bank's mounting losses. He was no longer a banker. He was a prince, desperately trying to hold on to power, sacrificing the source of that power to do so. When Lorenzo died in 1492, the bank was a hollow shell. The final blow came from his son, Piero, known to history as the Unfortunate. Lacking his father's charisma and his ancestors' intelligence, Piero was quickly overthrown. In 1494, as a French army invaded Italy, the people of Florence rose up and exiled the Medici family. Their palaces were looted, their power was shattered, and the Medici Bank, once the financial titan of the world, officially declared insolvency. The empire was gone. So how did it happen? How did the world's most sophisticated financial institution collapse so completely? The Medici Bank didn't fail because of a single bad investment or a market crash. It failed because the family forgot who they were. They started as merchants who understood that wealth was built on prudence, reputation, and discipline. But their descendants became princes who believed wealth was a birthright, a tool for glory, power, and vanity. They sacrificed sound financial principles for fleeting political alliances. They replaced skilled managers with loyal cronies. They gambled the institution's capital on the whims of kings and dukes. Giovanni de' Medici built a global empire by treating banking as a science. His heirs destroyed it by treating it as a personal piggy bank. The story of the Medici Bank is a timeless warning. It shows that no empire is too big to fail. It proves that wealth without wisdom is fragile. And it teaches us that the moment you sacrifice the foundations of your success for the trappings of power, you have already begun to fall. Now I want to hear from you. What modern companies or institutions do you see making the same mistakes as the Medici? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.